as well. He's most known for his Bears chat there. It's the Chicago Bears podcast host, Pat the Designer. And Pat, this is part of a new series we're going to be rolling out here where we want to talk to hosts and people who are capable of being really fun and entertaining on the air, but also have that fan perspective. So we kind of want to lean on you for the Chicago Bears. We did hear that one of your regular guests, Shay Norling, is a Lions fan, so we might lean on him for some Lions insight. But we wanted kind of more of a fan perspective on the team to the south that I root for, and Molly does not. So, Pat, thanks, and welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me on. I am having a lot of face on the camera compared to you two, so I need to scoot back a little bit. There's a lot.
I'll fix that for
At least
you
have good lighting. Our
Very
lighting here is
zoomed in
trash.
right now.
Yeah, we're washed out over here. You look like you're having a nice. I heard the weather's pretty nasty down there. You look like you have a nice candlelit podcast going on.
There we go. That's even the head's out a little bit right there. I like that. I like what we're doing there.
Pat, before we get into the talk about it, I did kind of reference that you have that fan perspective. Give us your background on how you got to be the host of the Chicago Bears podcast.
My background is probably like no one's in the world. I just started my own show because I grew up listening to David Kaplan and Carmen and Sylvia and all that, and I said, I can do this. So I truly just started my my own show, The Windy City Breeze. Did that for years, grew that to about 30,000 subscribers. And my daytime job, my full-time job I was an electrician. So while I was out there, turning wrenches, I would listen to ESPN 1000 every day, and I'd sit there and argue back and forth with guys. And I said, might as well just do it on a camera. Started doing it on a camera. People seemed to take a liking to me. Reached out to Danny Zetterman, and I wanted to help with social media and kind of, start everything up. I didn't know anything about ESPN Chicago acquiring the Bears. And then, all of a sudden, Danny's like, I need a host for this podcast, and I like you because you have good glasses.
Well, and I'm intrigued. I should have known this. I don't know. Do you still do electrical work? I just spent an ungodly amount of money on an electrician up here in Wisconsin. I could have known someone that knows what they're doing.
Listen, I still know how to do electrical work. I can tell you what not to do. Right. I try not to do it because it is very hard work, and it's much more fun talking about the Bears.
Perfect.
Is it fun to talk about the Bears, though? I mean, I mean, years past, it probably hasn't been. Now, looking ahead at this season, you've got to be excited, right? You got Ben Johnson coming in. Caleb Williams looks like he might be legit, which I don't want to say, but he looked good in the preseason game. Yep. They blew the doors off the Buffalo Bills yesterday. I mean, what are you most looking forward to with this season? And do you actually have faith that Caleb Williams is going to turn out to be somebody?
Here's the thing that I'm most excited about. The thing I'm most looking forward to is honestly seeing Ben Johnson actually be the bill of goods that we've been sold. How many times as Bears fans have we been told, oh, Matt Eberflus is going to overperform, or hey, you finally got it right with Matt Nagy, and then that was fool's gold that year. And you look the next season, we hear the stories about, he didn't want to help Mitch to become a better quarterback. Although looking at Mitch last night, Matt probably was right in all of that. But, I mean, there's all of these moments where you look at the history of the Bears coaching staff and you go, we thought we had something here, but this is fool's gold. This isn't real. Ben Johnson feels legit. Everything that we were sold on about Ben Johnson, how he was going to be in practices, how he was going to improve this team and try to create a better environment that this team hasn't had since Mike Ditka has been in the building, if we're being honest. Somebody who's bringing – kind of that animosity and that, hey, it's not when you get it right, it's you're going to get it right. There isn't an option, or we're going to replace you with somebody that can get it right. Seeing that in the building has changed the entire outlook of this franchise for me, because I truly do believe and I hope that Caleb Williams is the right guy for the job. But if he's not, I truly feel like Ben Johnson will find the right guy for the job and will be able to develop that guy, because it's not just seeing the quarterback position develop, it's how the entire team is developing and how we've seen that build up throughout this training camp, throughout preseason. It truly is a different feel here in Chicago.
And obviously I'm up here in Wisconsin and listening to your podcast and following along the best I can. You've been at camp a lot, and there's been a lot of the phrasing of that what Caleb been trying to drink through a fire hose with what Ben Johnson's throwing, yeah. And then they're trying to pull it back and try to see what he can handle. And yesterday kind of proved some of that. But for me, the expectations for Caleb are a little bit – I mean, you can talk about Josh Allen or Jared Goff, people who have jumped. But honestly, even You look at Jordan Love's first year as a starter, it was up and down. And I even heard Matt Schneider from The Athletic talk about how for a hot minute that year, the Packers could have been in the mix to draft Caleb or some other quarterback high, and there was chat about it for Jordan Love because he looked a little bit completely cooked in the middle of that season that now everyone, he had that late 8-game stretch. So for me, if Caleb can have an up and down season as long as it finishes strong, that's going to give me a lot of hope going forward. It does not have to be smooth sailing for this season to be a success for me and for Caleb Williams and the Bears. What about for you?
Listen, I think that we look at the development of the quarterback. We look at the development of this offense, and we have to look at it for the schedule it is right now. If this was last season, I'd be telling you Ben Johnson probably needs to win 11 to 12 games because you've got the AFC South on your schedule. It's not last season. You've got dogs every single week on your schedule. This is one of the tougher schedules in football, and it's why I look at, my expectation for Ben Johnson is continue to develop Caleb, continue to make him look good. But if you finish this thing out with a 9-8 season and the offense looks like it's moving in the right direction and the defense looks, as we've seen it look throughout most of the training camp, prepared and ready for every single week, that means you're doing things right. There's going to be weeks where you're just up against a juggernaut of a team. The Bears have a back-to-back versus the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. And I know we sit here and go, oh, well, Cincinnati, they're terrible. But they've got probably the best quarterback in football who's really good at destroying defenses and putting up 50 points. Now, if you put up 51, you may have a chance to beat them. Yep. But I haven't seen an offense put up 51 just yet here in Chicago. So once we see that, then I'll feel a little bit better. My expectation is just continued development of the quarterback. And I think that's kind of how Ben Johnson is truly going about this is, we're going to focus on what we can do, what we can control, how we can continue to get better every day. And the results from that are going to happen, whether that's wins or losses, hopefully more wins than losses. But the results from that are just going to be, I talked with Al Harris last week, and he said, talking about playing the system, he was like, our goal is not to play the man, it's to play the system the right way. So it doesn't matter who's standing across from you. If you follow the principles of what the system are, you'll have success. And I truly think that's how Ben Johnson's going about this. And it's why I feel like there's going to be some really good moments here from Caleb Williams this season.
We've talked about it a lot on our show, just how the NFC North specifically could be so vastly different, right? Like, we think that the Packers could potentially be 1 or 2, but they could also be number 4. Like, there's so many different ways that this division could change. And I'm just curious, like, what is your perspective of the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love? Because we obviously all have ours being here in Wisconsin, being around Packers fans. But, like, from a Chicago perspective, and I know you don't represent the entire city of Chicago, but I just have to know, like, what do you guys actually think about the Packers and Jordan Love? Does he scare you?
There's always the I don't want to say big brother complex because I feel like that's giving you too much credit, but there's always that feeling of like the Packers may do it again, right? Mm-hmm. Until we start to fight back a little bit more in the rivalry, that's always going to be there. But for me, as a Bears fan, Jordan Love is everything I hoped that he was going to be for the Green Bay Packers. Just good enough that you can't get rid of him, but maybe not good enough to get you over the hump. And listen, I think that there are small tweaks that Jordan Love can make in his game to become an actually elite quarterback in the NFL. I can't sit here and look at how he's played and go, oh, this dude's going to fall off of a cliff and it's all going to be over, right? Like, we did that with Kirk Cousins probably for 5 years in Minnesota, and he's found a way to go for 4,500 yards and 30-plus touchdowns every season. I can't sit here and tell you that Jordan Love will just be this terrible quarterback. But when I look at Jordan Love, I do see a guy that reminds me a lot of Kirk Cousins in the sense of, you're very talented, but you have these moments that seem to continue to pop up throughout your career where you're not good enough in the big moment. You're not good enough to get the job done. And as a Bears fan, for me, that's beautiful because I'm hoping that we continue to see what we saw in the last game of that season where, now he didn't finish that game, but where yet again, the Packers didn't have enough to get the job done versus the Bears in that final game. And that, to me, is exciting. And I think here's the thing for a lot of Bears fans. While it is fun to just stomp all over your rival, that would be great to bring back that 90s or 80s feeling, right? There is something to what happened in the early 2000s that I think we really enjoyed, both sides of it, where I can throw a punch, you can throw a punch, and we can have an actual rivalry. That makes the rivalry more fun.
I'm so glad that you said that, because last year, my biggest thing about the Bears were I actually wanted Caleb Williams to be good, because I'm like, this would be so fun if there was actually a rivalry. But now moving into this year, because I have to deal with Jim every single day, I'm like, I hope he sucks. So I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess. I'm like, I want Caleb Williams.
You want him to be Jordan Love, what he just described as Jordan Love.
You kind of described it as the perfect way, but also maybe just a little bit worse. So then Jordan Love still looks better.
Actually, Pat, the love and the narrative around Jordan Love, and I'm with you on it. I think he's kind of going to be a perennial tier 2 guy if you all go off the athletic Mike Sando sort of look there. That you can win with them, but he's not going to win because of them. And Jared Goff has gotten to a Super Bowl and gotten to an NFC Championship game, but he's not the guy that's going to carry you over the top. I think that's where Love will live. But he's in a Packers uniform, and I feel like on a national scale and a local scale, everyone just says it just kind of gets a sheen on him of like, well, he's going to take that next step to be elite because he's a good quarterback in a Packers uniform. Meanwhile, Caleb had a record-setting rookie season for a quarterback in general for Chicago, let alone a rookie one, was good by normal standards of a rookie. He wasn't Jaden Daniels, but like all of a sudden, he's in a Bears uniform, and you got Drake May in a Patriots uniform. Like, Drake's going to be great. You got Bo Nix in a Denver uniform where you saw Peyton play. He's going to be great. Caleb in a Bears uniform, he's going to be terrible. And I think some of it's just the idea of a quarterback in a Bears uniform. People just unconsciously go with, that's going to be the worst possible outcome for that guy, despite the guy that everyone wanted, and Ben Johnson is now coaching him, who turned Jared Goff from a tier 3 guy into a tier 2 guy. And I think at a bare minimum, Caleb can climb into that tier 2.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I think the thing with how the perception of the Chicago Bears organization is, for the history of it, it's 100% true. They haven't been able to develop the quarterback. It has been where certain wide receivers have gone to die, if you want to say that. The offense has not been the focal point of this team. But what I would say to you is that this is not the same Bears organization. What Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles have put together here, this is not going out there and going to get the bottom of the barrel guy to try and make it work and try and get him to be this even keel talent with what's in the rest of the division. No, you went out and you got the best offensive play caller that was available to be your head coach. On top of that, you went and got the best defensive play caller that was on your market, who also was a head coach, to be your DC. Oh, you also went and got the best running backs coach. You went and got one of the best DB coaches available, who was also got some assistant head coaching experience. You brought in one of the best. Like, I can keep going on, and it trickles all the way down to the team. And that's not the Chicago Bears that we have seen. So I'm not expecting the same result from the Chicago Bears that we have seen, right? The last time we saw the Chicago Bears invest in a coaching staff this much and invest in their team this much, let's be honest, it truly was when Mike Ditka and Buddy Ryan were on the coaching staff. We didn't see this with Lovey. Yeah, Lovey got some investment, but we sat there and swapped out offensive coordinators every single year. We didn't see this with Trestman. We didn't see this with Nagy. We went after kind of the safe guys and all of that. Now we're not seeing the Bears do that anymore, and I think it's a very different organization than what we've seen in our history.
So I hear all your positivity, but I got to know, what is the most concerning thing for this upcoming season for you?
Left tackle. Left tackle is going to continue to be a concern for this team probably all season. Now, what I saw from Braxton Jones yesterday was a little bit encouraging, although it's versus the twos, right? So, are you going to Braxton Jones is not going to get that leeway. The first 4 weeks of the season, you got if Micah Parsons signs, you got Micah Parsons on the docket. You've got Aiden Hutchinson on the docket. Like, that's going to be the spot where you have to watch this team the most. Yesterday, going into yesterday, I would have said pre-snap penalties. First couple of drives, I thought the offense looked pretty comfortable. So I guess I'll put that on the back burner. Again, it is preseason. That could pop up in the regular season, but they looked pretty good in that game when Caleb Williams was out there and that first team offense was out there. They looked comfortable, and I think it truly was, like you said at the beginning, that he's been drinking out of a fire hose, and the entire team has been drinking out of a fire hose, and now you You swapped it down to a garden hose like it was the 90s again. I don't want to go inside because mom's going to make me sit on the couch and I can't go back out. And I'm going to just drink out of the garden hose. Do kids still do that? Is that okay anymore? Or they got regulations against that now?
It probably depends on the Ryan. You're the up north.
You're the
kid.
resident child.
I would not do that in Madison. I will say that.
Okay, yeah,
A little bit of hard water out here.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you're at. I definitely did. Well, because here's the thing. I'm 45. I grew up drinking out of the garden hose. You are 25.
I'm 26. When I was a kid, I was doing it too, but I was much more naive as a kid, and I wasn't telling my parents.
I'm 28, and yes, I drank out of a garden hose. When was the last time I did that? It's been a while.
Would you let your kids though?
Probably.
Yeah, I would too.
We have good water by us.
It builds character. It builds character.
It does.
Build up your immune system.
Yeah, definitely that too. Just hopefully there's no lead. Like that's
drinking out of that tire that never thought about that. It's just hot rubber in the sun all day. That water was so delicious.
Well, honestly, that makes me think of my dog in the backyard. You put a water bowl out for her. She's gonna drink out of the nasty foot pool, like the kids put their feet in the water before they go in the pool. That's what the dog will drink out of.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like you usually carry like grass or whatever into like the big pool. Like you put your feet in a small little
very
tub.
sanitary.
Well, my wife, you know how hard it is to keep a big pool full, not to turn green.
That's
so
fair.
like if you don't bring the grass in, it's much easier. My wife runs in home daycare, so it's more of like, hey,
I'm just trying to get to the point where I'm like you, where I have a pool. Like,
Same.
Right.
All I have is the foot pool, and it's the dollar store pool for the kids.
Yeah.
My kids have a blow-up pool, so
dog's got a pool. I got a pool. Like we're just pooled out there at the Rutledge household. Yeah. 17 years into Good Karma, Pat. You'll get there. So
I love it. Give me some time.
Before we let you go, we want like some predictions out of you, and hopefully you're willing to pop back on a few times throughout the year to kind of talk about 100%. Where these teams are at, because I think it'll be fun. Again, we're going to have you on. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to Shay, and then we're going to have Chris Plies, who's part of Team Schuster. Matt Hamilton, our co-host here, his teammate with Team Schuster, and Curlin's a diehard Vikings fan. So we're going to have 3 different people who are going to be entertaining, talking about the teams in the North, but doing it in a non-traditional way. But we're going to put a couple things to you, because I'm going to do this with Matt and Molly as well. One, it doesn't have to be an exact stat line, but what are some benchmarks that you're looking for Caleb that you think that he can hit this year that you'll call it a successful season?
Honestly, it's the one stat line of the 70%. I think 70% gets you everything else. It's very difficult to be a 70% passing quarterback and not get 4,000 yards and not get 30 touchdowns and not have low interception totals. So I think that's where it starts for me. But I love for Caleb to be the one to finally break all, just so we can stop talking about it. Like, yes. I'll be honest with you. The quarterback that won the Super Bowl last year had 2,900 passing yards. I don't care about where your yards are. Find ways to win championships and build teams that win championships. But if you're completing 70% of your passes, and we see how Ben Johnson is aggressive, he likes explosive plays, that means you're going to be throwing the football. I would think that, listen, if I'm living around a 4,100-yard season, a 30-touchdown season, and I'm okay with the interceptions being up, because it means Caleb's taking chances that he didn't take last year. If you're living around 12 to 14 interceptions on that means that Caleb Williams is being more aggressive and is probably fitting that Ben Johnson system a little bit more.
I like all those. I think, and I agree with all of them. For me, it's more of like, hey, just be more efficient. You look at those advanced analytics, and it's like, all right, Caleb, the offense was so bad at times there, so it's take less sacks would be part of that as well. But I'm right there in those benchmarks. If he gets above, for me to go from 63 basically to 70 is a big jump. Get above like 67, 68, because that's my big knock on Jordan Love, is that he doesn't complete passes, and he's not Josh Allen. So like, you got to either get better completion percentage and get more accurate, or you're never going to get better. What about for the division? How do you think it stacks out? Who wins the division, second, third, fourth, all that?
Listen, I know there's a lot that is changing there. I'm still leaving Detroit up top, though. Until you prove you're not the king, you're the king in my book. I truly do think that the Chicago Bears might be right there for second. I think here's the thing, right? Like, second being everybody's kind of going to be the same. I think the Bears get a couple of more wins this season. I think that everybody else takes a little bit of a step back just because you don't have the AFC South. How do you get to 15 wins? You beat the AFC South 4 times. Like, I think Detroit's probably an 11-win team. I think the Bears, Packers, and Vikings kind of live around that 9 to 10 win scenario. I guess right now in my king scenario, right, I want to say Bears second, but I'll say Minnesota second. I'll say Bears are right there with them, but maybe they're third right now and then fourth. I know that's not going to be popular.
A homer. Oh my god.
I know it's not going to be popular.
Oh my god.
But Green Bay got to be at the bottom. But I will say this too, right? I do think we run back what we had last season where you've got 3 teams in the playoffs.
It's a big brother mentality or little brother mentality just showing through on you.
I mean, listen, there's a lot that you guys don't have receivers that catch all the time.
I don't even know who our receivers are right
Most
now. I
of the
feel like when
time.
I was
You know
like,
what I mean? Listen, and my favorite thing from the Packers this year, because I get Packers fans in my chat all the time, and they want to, oh, look, you guys are terrible. You always be little brother. And the big thing was, oh, your DBs aren't as good as you think they are. And then you cut your best DB and turned a wide receiver into one.
right.
I laughed so hard.
Yeah, Pat, like honestly, that's the one thing when I look at the Packers and the receivers, maybe Matthew Golden pops off, but my sneaky take is Luther Burden. I don't know statistically he'll be better than Matthew Golden because he might not get the reps. I think he's better than Matthew Golden. But when you look at the Packers, they don't have a pass rush and they don't have a secondary outside of McKinney. And to me, that is could be a fatal flaw for this team. And I think it's being underrepresented. Rashawn Gary's never been a double-digit sack guy. Lucas Van Ness is terrible. And you have to get pressure with blitzes. And then you took a major downgrade. Keyshawn Nixon's not a cornerback 1. Nate Hobbs is not a cornerback 2 or 1. You have McKinney, but the rest is pretty weak out there.
Molly,
guys.
all
Yes.
I'm going to ask you is anything that we just said wrong?
no, you're not wrong. And yes, Bo Melton being converted from a wide receiver to a defensive back is awful.
And
It
he's
is
going to
horrible.
make the team and be on the death chart.
Yes,
Like,
it is
that's
horrible.
worse.
It is bad. It is not good. But also, Jair Alexander, who even knows, the last time that
No,
I
to
saw
be
was
fair-
that he was having like different procedures done
can't
in
play for the
Baltimore.
Ravens
So
this year,
like,
so yeah.
yeah, like.
But you could have signed someone else. Like,
Yes, they could have done more. But I am seeing, I actually Googled Micah Parsons after you mentioned his name, and there's different reports about him potentially
Come on,
being
fool you
for the
10,000 times. For the
I
Bears'
will hold
history,
out hope.
the Bears' history about not having a quarterback is the same history
Yes.
of the Packers never making that
That
move
is
to
accurate.
get that guy.
That is accurate. But I will hold out hope because I love Micah Parsons.
All right, hope is not a strategy. Pat, awesome stuff. We really appreciate it. The Chicago Bears podcast, where you can find Pat.
Thank you for having me on.